No clothing. Address and things written was like, I'm so excited for you. But yeah, so we're gonna actually leave tomorrow and then head up to Lincoln City for Veterans Day. We always take on Veterans Day because it was like 5 people. His staff would always accommodate Veterans Days. I write checks all the time. I'm a sender. But they don't know how to write a check and they still have it before. So an envelope.
I thought I saw they told tomorrow morning.
Her from goes up here and right here is where the two items. It was a blank envelope and she was like, oh, how to take this? And then they mailed something.
And you're right. Wondered if she was just listening, if she would persuade to be like, shut up.
I realized that all of their communication is. That's what she should have done. And that's the thing I tell them. I tell all my interns, I say, you guys got Google. Why do you have Google? I have to go to the library. I have to look for this. Yeah, look it up. I'm gonna look it up. But I actually asked me about
Singers. It's like good. Well, you're the, but the thing is, you're the expert on that.
I just share it with the doctors.
They don't.
We do.
It's very fun.
Righty, welcome back, folks. We have about 25 minutes to talk about mostly operations, but also communication. So looking at the list of goals, which are kind of on the bottom here, we are going to focus on goals that we're going to move forward. So not necessarily prescriptive details, but the goals that we're going to move forward with. And we will start in your usual order. President Doyle.
Yes. Thanks, isn't it?
The better systems comment up there is something that resonates with me. My understanding is that there are a lot of challenges of vendors, systems that the board uses or is required to use that, if you will, don't talk to each other, and they limit the ability on how we're able to present information to stakeholders. And so I think that this operational piece will help communications that we'll talk about. If we are able to obtain different systems that meet our needs.
That was the goal. It would be to
procure appropriate databases for work necessary.
thank you.
There's certain database types that you're already looking at, considering. I'm just really for staff. Okay. Staff member Efremov is nodding. Let the record show.
She'll nodding yes for now.
Nodding is yes, shaking is.
My specific example that I cited when working here is it's my understanding that we're limited on how we can represent rule changes to the public when rules are noticed. And so a system that would be able to better operationalize that would be preferred and improve that clarity.
Yeah. Facilitator Boyce, anything else?
Board Member Joyce. So I'm just looking at ways to incorporate DEI into operations and looking at the demographic data to see how we can incorporate DEI and facilitate that under operations. The main two things for me is that and the behavioral health portion of it. How does that fit in as far as this pillar. So I'm, no,
Here, boys. So the conversation arose with, one, the question on the applications that the licensees fill out.
Mhm.
That kind of relate to behavioral health and addiction and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And also the, conversation about the HPSP as far as like, I'm a pharmacist and I realize I might have a substance use issue. And the possibility for folks not getting help because they could get dinged or suspended or in trouble for admitting they have a substance use issue and reporting it to the board. So making sure that we can do what we can to remain, obviously, safety of clients, right? Like if I have a substance use issue with the drugs that are in my pharmacy, that's a completely different thing than I have an issue with alcohol outside of work. It has nothing to do with the meds, but I still have an issue that needs to be fixed and I need to get help for it. So just clarifying that we're not keeping people out
right.
for having behavioral and mental health issues, but also still remaining focused on the safety of Oregonians.
Absolutely, I support that for sure, and I want to, maybe emphasize that. And also, for technicians as well, I know that in terms of what do you call it? Substance abuse care, right? The pharmacists have been covered as far as what's the name of the company?
HPSP.
What is it?
We just call it HPSP.
It was, but
it can change.
okay. Anyways, they don't do that for technicians. I mean, I know it's a cost issue, it's a business. My desire is I wish they would, because technicians have addiction problems too.
Yes.
So that, yeah.
And so tell boys, just clarification, not just addiction, but that seems to be the thing that, is highlighted and happens often. So I'm going to put, let me know if this flows with what you're thinking, kind of clarification and updating behavioral health and mental health related questions regarding all licensees.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll make sure I'm not putting words in your mouth.
No, thank you, Clark, for putting that in clearly.
Yeah.
Sounded good.
Yeah, I wish I had it recorded. Yep, thank you.
Board Member Patel, for the operation, I would definitely more, for me at least, priority is like virtual pick class or offering pick class more than once in a month. The reason, because of our current zero pick gap rule. If we are going to implement that, then we should have at least more than once pick class.
Member Davis, in rulemaking right now, you were giving pharmacists a 90-day, moving it from a
Not for,
30-day to a 90-day.
are we going to do that?
It's in rulemaking, but
But is it
something to consider.
Yeah, so with the current, right, I'm going to focus because we changed so many times and we don't know that's going to happen, right? Because as
And we can
remember, we
use, we could totally
majority wins, right?
an appropriate, it's not a database, but an appropriate software to be able to lift these sorts of programs. And it would be so nice just to have it online and people could register and take it at their leisure.
No, I agree, but
Something like that.
yeah. So my goal is like having more virtual pick class in person, but more pick class with the current rule. If you are going to change the rule, right? If everyone agrees upon it, right? As we said, majority wins, then it's a different story.
More access to the PIC class.
There you go.
I'm getting more frequent. We could upload it once.
There you go. No, I agree.
Goal, increasing access to PIC classes,
Yes.
and then sub goals that are the details would be more often, off.
You want to add like registration software kind of thing to item one, because we talked database broadly, but is there another technology objective there, or should it be a separate thing, or just deal with it in terms of the access to the class?
Staff member Davis, I don't know that it has to be a database. It's like a procure appropriate software, because the software might be a database. It might be an online training software. There's other options. We might be able to do it with software we currently have if we were able to figure out a way to do that.
Member Patel, anything else?
This is Board Member Beeman. The two that really stuck out to me are up there, the HPSK and mental health. I think we're gonna start really seeing the crunch on that. So if we can try to be at least somewhat ahead of that, and then increasing access to the PIC class in terms of as Staff Member Davis was saying, uploading it, having accessible at any time, and going along with that, with the rule updates and videos that were previously discussed, having some sort of, I guess that plays into one with the software that we can make a lot more of these informational things that we're trying new as outreach to be accessible, including the PIT class, but all the other things too in the same manner. So those kind of encompass my three big ones there.
Board Member Vipperman. So I love the clarification of the behavior. I think that mental health is very important at this time. And I think that it's not talked about, and I want to start talking about it because this is, I don't want it to be a stigma of, oh, it's a bad thing. I want it to be oh my gosh, you need help. This is where you go to get it. And I don't know if that's, I don't know whether that's a board right to do that, but I think that it's important that we have resources available, perhaps on the website of where people, and I'm not saying pharmacists, I'm saying technicians. Technicians are abused, where they can go and get help and know that they are not going to be looked at differently. And I think that is so important this year, this second, right now. This is an initiative that the NAB president right now is going, is in full force, and they have resources available that we can use, and I think that's important. I also I can't remember. Help me remember, Chrissy, if we can. So when we have our license, is there availability? I know we've talked about it, to upload like certificates that technicians and do we do that now?
This is Staff Member Hannigan. Yes.
Yes. So I don't think that is communicated, because I have certificates and I'm like, oh, how do you do that? I don't know how to do that. Perhaps we can have a how to do that, or is that widely used?
It was widely used in the pharmacist renewal. We didn't have that so much in the tech renewal in 2022.
Well, technicians have a lot of certificates they could do. I myself and I have two more certificates, and I'm an advanced technician. I'd like the opportunity to put that into my license, and I would love to see that because who knows what's going to happen. And so the availability of that I'd like to see implemented, if that's a consensus. So I didn't realize that it was already for, I know we talked about it at some point and we were able to do that, but I wasn't sure if it was happening or not.
It's in the document upload section on every page for renewal or new app. There's a section for uploading documents, and we have changed the wording on that page since you logged in to do your technician renewal. But I believe the wording is there now that says you can upload things like.
Oh, so at our
certificates
next
and-
renewal, we'll be able to see that.
I might be able to see it
Okay.
now if you like.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that was my two things, so.
So I would propose, given, our measurements talk about resources. Yeah, goals, doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do it, but clarification and updates of behavioral health and mental health questions for all licensees and be a source of resources for licensees.
I don't know why we wouldn't.
No.
Part of being, unless there's if you can piggyback off on, this is board member Chen, this is my thinking cap, I'm just I'm not an expert on any of this, but doing a referral source means that you are responsible for the appropriateness of the referral, the safety of the referral, a lot more things about who you're referring to. If the national organization actually has referral sources and you could refer to the national organization's list of referral services, that would be something to consider. But for a board to evaluate and be able to make recommendations for a referral, you really need to understand that that's a safe and appropriate place for whatever it is you're making a recommendation.
Well, this is board member Vipperman. I never said a referral. I just said resources. This is where you can go to get some resources. I never said referral.
Okay. And my apologies for.
No, that's okay.
I'm thinking, I was thinking.
I would never say, oh, no, we don't want to go into that business.
Okay, so resources in what framework are you thinking about? Just when we're sussing out kind of things that are you looking for resources? So.
Facilitator voice with suggestions, having a link to the different associations or unions because they have referrals and resources. And so having a link to a link where they could go, where that does kind of remove you from having a referral. It is just, these are the places that you can. That is one of the ways where it would address the need as well as the risk and caution and being like, go to this specific therapist or go to this specific addiction program.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is board member Jim. We also might check with the other healthcare boards to find out what they're doing. Because it's mental health issues are for all of these boards and find out if they do have resources and, places where they're doing resources links to.
So this is board member Vipperman, if I may. So like, in my thinking, it's like, oh, okay, maybe you have a question on the registration that says, do you know where to go if you have mental health questions? Do you have, if you have mental health, because a lot of people aren't going to go to the website and research that. But if it's brought up, see, I want to create awareness. I want to create awareness that we are trying to protect you because there are technicians and there are pharmacists in retail pharmacies right now and hospital pharmacies and all pharmacies that are having mental health issues and they don't know where to turn. And so I want to I think we should make it a priority to make mental health awareness at our board, because that's where it's going to start. If they know that, okay, we're here to help you and we're here to protect you, I think that's a plus. I mean,
no, I'm loving it. This is board member Chen. I'm loving it. I'm seeing mental health awareness as being actually one of the tabs on your website and instead of on an application process.
Well, that way they'll know, oh, do you know who's?
So these are, I mean, we're brainstorming some ideas, but
And this isn't brainstorming. I just wanted to make sure that, I mean, this is something that, you know, they can look at later, but I just want to bring awareness that there's a lot of mental health issues out there. And we should look at that.
I so your boys completely agree. Just want to know that it is 12:12. We will have to break at 12:20 so that we can eat, so that we can get to the public comment. So again, goals, not specifics.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm done.
Board Member Hemmings, could we go back to the list?
Thank you.
I had up there the DEI, equity, impact and all things, wellness, mental health, burnout, staffing. I agree that we should probably, I agree with what Board Member Bickerman says in terms of resources. I don't have anything else to add.
Board Member Hall.
I agree with everything that's up there, what everybody's been saying. The burnout is real and it's affecting everybody, so I don't know what we can do about it, but we do need to talk about it, and that goes with the mental health as well. That's all.
Or Jen?
Board Member Chin, the only other thing that I had, I think on there tried to say was that there are, the Board of Pharmacy, I was not aware that you had a self-referral to HPSP, and I assume that isn't for drug diversion, that's for just your regular addiction or for resistant. I'm aware that techs are not privy to that program. But anybody else on HPSP, it is a what do we, it's a bad thing. It's discipline instead, it's discipline. And so, there are, so other boards have an opportunity to make it discipline or not discipline. And depending on the merits of the case, the mitigating and aggravating factors, and all of that being brought to the board for decision, but having to make sure that there are, that there's, since you've never done it before, that there's equity in those decisions, that there's all the things that have to go into so that there's fairness in who goes one way and who goes the other. But when we're thinking of people have addictions is a mental illness, it's not necessarily always a discipline issue. And so something to think about for future is, are there ways of having two different types of HPSP, or three, because you have the self-report, you have the ones where board investigation and any investigations, and then for discussion, whether or not this is discipline or whether this is HPSP non-discipline. That's a big discussion and something to just consider.
I've had my turn already, but if I may add another thing to there, I missed the approve compliance position. I think that's important for operations, and also burnout was mentioned a bit ago, and it's also including board staff that they could be at risk of burnout. So having the appropriate human resources for that, we want to make sure to hopefully get that position approved so we can hire for it. Get what the exact name of it is. If somebody wanted to help me on that.
Compliance officer, compliance assistant,
Compliance assistant.
administrative assistant.
That's what we got. While she's writing, this facilitator Pandy, I wanted to call attention to, we maybe put something on here about reviewing, refining the, I will call it the agenda build and amendment process. That was a big topic prior, but we didn't really capture anything specifically on that. To me, that's kind of on how we operate the function of the board. So is that something that would be acceptable to include as a goal? May not be a strategic goal, but it's certainly something that could be in the action item.
I think that would shorten strategic planning meetings.
And then I will throw out one other thing. I think looking at the volumes that we've talked about in terms of cases and rules, I sense as Joe is a proponent of lean and trying to, streamline processes. But with the volumes increasing as they have, I've kind of felt like maybe and this would be for the staffs having to do the work, right? Kind of look at, are there ways that we can maybe streamline some of our processes to make them more efficient? And maybe that's too tactical to include here, but when stuff gets busy and big, we tend to kind of not be as efficient as we could be. So it was just something I thought might be worth consideration. Maybe not for here, just maybe food for thought for staff. Yeah.
Staff Member Efremov, just one point of clarification from the last request that was brought by Board Member Chin for number 2. Are you also advocating for staff to look into more and the HPSP structure, like revisiting HPSP in general, not just the access points, but how the program is?
I was not asking, I was not, this is Board Member Chen. I don't think I was asking for that.
Oh, okay.
I don't think.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Board Member Hemmons, I had brought that up in our group in terms of nationally, I think it's a CDC and Health Administration on the federal level is looking at requesting that boards reconsider how they deal with substance use and mental health issues when they come up with their licensees, because it can be a deterrent to people actually seeking mental health treatment. If they feel that they're going to be penalized in some way if they seek treatment. So from my understanding for this board, you don't have a requirement that licensee report if they are seeking substance use or mental health treatment. But if you receive a complaint that involves substance use disorder, there is potential for it to be penalized in some way for that person. Well, I would say penalized. It might be perceived as being penalized, but you would want them to go through this HPSC, correct? If you find that the substance use impacts their ability, the performance of their job. Tricky, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. This is Board Member Chen. That rule that the legislation that we tried to put forward last year as on the board to be able to require an evaluation is something this board does not have. And that would be really helpful to go hand in hand for any change in an HPSP program. And I think, so this might be something like a parking lot thing until that piece of legislation goes through.
And this is Executive Director Fox. One of the things is we on operations. For me, I just want to point out when we say a new compliance assistant, I always get worried about when we cherry pick certain positions and really say, let's take a holistic look at the organization. And particularly with me coming in new, if we're saying that we're moving forward with a position, I haven't even assessed the agency yet and looked at what we need, what we might not need, understand workload with staff, which I'm doing some of that work now. And if we're just throwing out there saying we're going with something, I just want to put that out there to just be mindful because that, it won't be helpful, especially when we have those conversations with the legislative director and others, when we try to get positions in the future, it's going to be really hard depending on the governor's guidance.
Board Member Doyle, I appreciate evaluating, going through a needs assessment and what that may be. I'm amenable to changing that to a different position or just, hiring more staff. But at the last board meeting, it had been discussed, that particular topic and approval from the board to move with that type of personnel moving forward. I forget what the next step is, but it's a budgetary request of some sort. So I think that's probably already in the works.
Alternative waste. So the goal could be to investigate the possibility and pathways for adding staff to lighten workload. And then that way it leaves open for whatever the board has already put forward and your needs assessment, because it's also possible that you'll be like, oh yeah, we need a compliance assistant and we need X, Y, Z. Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna sort of say, I think we need a break for lunch.
Yes.
While Vashti's writing. And so we've got 35 minutes, so.
Eat fast.
So move fast down the line.
Eat fast. Go 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.